Live from Rythmia Studios, Facebook Live. Once again, our Christian Minson here. While we're here, I'm going to see if I can share this video. I don't know if there's a way, but welcome as you come on. Don't mind me. Maybe the link. Let's see. I'm just going to try sharing this and hopefully somebody come on. All right. As you come on, joining in. Good. We got Ross. Ross, hey there. Still trying to figure out how to get to Florida and join you. Jamie. Welcome, Jamie. Welcome, Nanette. Welcome, Jennifer. Welcome, Susan. Come on aboard the weekly Facebook Live Friday afternoon. If it's in California, it's just before afternoon. Hi from Philadelphia, Sharda. I'm assuming that's how it is, Sharda or Sharada. But welcome. And how's the weather in Philadelphia? Here today, we're in the middle of rainy season. Rain means it rains on and off. Dave Power, excellent. One of our regulars. Rains on and off. The rain is getting a little heavier, however, so when it rains hard, but it doesn't rain forever, and so it's fun. I saw some folks in the pool yesterday while it was raining. That's my favorite place to be, in the water when it's raining. Something about that, just fun. Sharda, is that it? Sharda. Okay. Dave, what's up? What's up with you? We're doing great here. Just getting ready. For those of you who join in after the live, if you ever want to skip this part, usually it takes about 4 minutes for us to get started. So if you ever want to just skip to about the 4-minute mark, 5-minute mark, if I'm still shooting the breeze, that will get you started with the content. So until then, we're almost there. I like to reach 50 people. We're at 46. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds in. 48. Can we break the record? Come on. 53. Yes, we did it. All right, so here we go. Welcome, everyone. This is our Christian Minson here at Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica, coming to you every Friday on this Facebook Live, glorious Breathwork edition, or I am the director of the Breathwork program. I'm your catalyst for awakening and transformation around here. So Breathwork's one of the topics I often cover, or it's often woven into the topics I cover. I was also a monk for 10 years of my life, so a lot of the subjects here hold spiritual path significance. These are the topics that really I feel are relevant to a balanced spiritual life. And most people who come to Rythmia, whether they call it a spiritual life or not, leave with some kind of sense that their life has greater meaning and purpose. There's a greater context for life. So if they didn't believe something, in something greater than themselves before they came, which most do, but if they didn't, they usually leave feeling that way. And if they already did feel that way, they leave feeling more like they know their place. They know where they stand in the world, their place in it. And that's one of the great miracles that happens here, the miracle of transformation. What can I say? I'm a speaker and author. I co-authored this book, Align, Expand, and Succeed, Shifting the Paradigm of Entrepreneurial Success. The merging of consciousness and business is what this is all about. Conscious business, conscious entrepreneurship. And Shit the Moon Said, the book by Jerry Powell. Always want to give a plug for that, because if you don't know much about Rythmia, you don't know much about Jerry, check that out. That's one of the ways to start to get to know him. You can check out his Facebook Lives happening tomorrow at 2 Costa Rican time, so that's noon California time, Pacific. And he's a crazy character, an amazing character, one who, a visionary character, and through his vision and his fortitude, Rythmia has come into existence, which is quickly becoming legendary. Now we've been around only 2.5 years and already beginning to fill up to capacity, churning out 50, 60, 70 souls a week. We are a soul factory, a miracle factory here. So we put people back together and send them back out in the world as their light worker, light warrior self. So enough about all that. Let's see. I don't know why this doesn't move sometimes, but Rita's joined, Adriana, Martin, Gwen. Hello, Gwen. Hello, Rita from Finland. Yay. I love my Finnish contingency. Fun fact about me, I lived in Norway for 3 years, so I have a close connection with those Scandinavians out there. Who can name all the Scandinavian countries? Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Iceland. I don't know if Greenland qualifies, but those are the Scandinavian countries. All right, Martin Vale. Hi there, Vale. Karen, hi from Richmond, Virginia. Falls Church, Tom. Of course, everybody who's seen me before knows I also lived in Virginia, Northern Virginia area, that DC area basically. Miranda, Christine. Hey, Christine was here just recently. Mike Kozad, hey, Lori Baker and you? Really? Lori Baker from Toronto, Barrie, Canada area? You know that. Or is, oh, no, you guys who came back were here before. That's all right. Sorry, I got you confused with somebody I knew from long ago. But yes, we'll be waiting for you to come back. Joshua, Stephen, Claudia. Hey, Claudia. Karen, Nicole, Joshua, Brenda. Hey, everybody. Brenda, hi from Rythmia. So Brenda's here right now. All right. So here we go. The topic today, the happily ever after syndrome. This one actually came up from conversation I just had with people a few days ago here at Rythmia. This is how immediate all this information is. And yeah, give me likes, give me hearts. If you don't like me, give me that little meanie face. I always see one coming up and I'm like, what did I say? What did I say wrong? But you know, what is the happily ever after syndrome? Yeah, most of us grew up on fairy tales. You remember those fairy tales? Snow White, is it Snow White that has the, all right, lots of hearts there. Thank you. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Prince Charming, all that kind of stuff. You know, basically, life sucks. You know, there's this struggle, this hardship to life. Somehow the prince comes into the picture, the savior, the warrior, whatever it is, slays the dragon, wins the day, they fall in love, you know, all the hardship is overcome, they get married, they ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after, right? How many of us have been born and bred on these stories, right? And they're fun fairy tales and leaves you feeling good at night. But one of the things that they do a disservice to us too is from an early age, we begin to set in our mind an unreal expectation of life and life's problems. And that if we just find the right man or woman, we can get married and live happily ever after. All our problems will be done. If we can just get that right job, then all our financial woes will be done with, everything will be good, and we can live relaxed and happily ever after. If we just you know, finally lose that weight and get to the right weight, we can relax and live happily ever after, right? So we engage in our lives in many transformational types of activities, diets, exercise programs, counseling, transformational retreats, and what the happily ever after syndrome does is sets us up for these unreal expectations. You know, that once we've made the transformation, once we've reached the diet, once we've married that person, life's going to be smooth sailing from then on. It's like we can rest on the couch and everything's going to take care of itself. And, you know, let me just poll you. How many people have gotten that perfect boyfriend or girlfriend or that perfect husband or wife? And, you know, as perfect as they are, how many are living happily ever after? Meaning there are no troubles, there are no struggles, there are no frictions going on. I would put money on 0%, maybe 1% of you. Maybe there's, you know, there's always the possibility. But hey, Jill Diz, yay, tuning in. Great to see you. Jason, me. You were growing up on that. Yes, me too. My childhood was filled with the books of Grimm and Anderson. Yeah. I can't remember that some of those stories were also a little grim, just like the name implies. But so unreal expectations get set up, and then when life goes south, when we do get that mate, and then something goes wrong, we're like, oh my God, that you know, life isn't working right. Something's wrong. We leave that person, or we abandon our efforts to improve ourselves, or whatever it is, because, you know, we thought that it's all supposed to be figured out by then, and that it. By recognizing this, recognizing that happily ever after is the end of a fairy tale, and life is anything but a fairy tale, this gives us awareness, and awareness gives us power. All right, so power gives us choice, and we can choose then our happiness or choose to be unhappiness. In other words, it gives us a choice to get out of otherwise victim consciousness. Oh, woe is me, life is not working the way I thought it was. What am I to do? This is supposed to be happily ever after. Okay, so by giving us choice, this ultimately sets us up for success. Success in life means greater happiness, greater peace, greater contentment, and greater growth trajectory. And so this is really what we're looking at. This is why they're called fairy tales. Exactly, Claudia. Briddick, hey, how you doing? Christy joined. Melanie joined. Hey, Melanie. I already said hi to Jason, I think. I want to know more of your monk years. Will you speak about that in the video? Probably, we'll see if that fits into this topic. I will give you a, plant a seed. One of my topics, I think it's 2 weeks from now, will be on my monastic life. I do that about every 2 months. People ask for that, and it has relatively little to do with Rythmia, but it has a lot to do with who I am and the perspective that I share. And of course, if you come here to visit, this is the perspective that I coach and counsel from. And I think really it's the perspective of life. You know, in a nutshell, the perspective that life is a spiritual experience, or that we are rather spiritual beings having a physical experience where we descended into this clothing of this body for a short period of time, and then we go to sleep, we wake up the next day and put on a new set of clothing, a new body, a new life. And from that perspective, the normal course of life takes on a whole new perspective, and you can not allow some of the things that heretofore had caused you a lot of consternation and pain and suffering. You can let go a lot of that. If you're thinking that you're just a physical being having a sometimes spiritual experience, life can be somewhat of a trial at times. That doesn't mean, shifting your perspective doesn't mean that you won't continue to have trials in your life, but you're better equipped to meet those challenges and put them in perspective. Know that those challenges are growth opportunities, are meant for you to evolve and grow rather than to squash you down and to bowl you over and flatten you like a steamroller running over you. So thanks for the answer. Good. Great topic. Thank you, Melanie. All right. Melanie's a good friend from Southern California, San Diego area. We've done a lot of good work together. And all right, Ryan, fist bump. All right, so this is kind of why this is an important topic. So we're really looking for how to maximize our happiness and growth. And the deeper aspect to this is the happily ever after syndrome. Is there's a law in life that somebody else probably thought it up, but it came into my brain without seeing it out there consciously. The law of maintenance. All right. The law of maintenance means that whatever gets put in motion in life requires maintenance. So how does this relate to happily ever after? Well, the assumption in happily ever after is you've done all the work and then you can rest and live happily ever after. It's like, I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to make any more effort. Everything's going to come easy because I found the right person, or I got the right job, or I, as we said, met the right circumstances. But life, if there's one constant in life, it's change. And in change, there's opportunity. But that change means that things need to be maintained. Think about it. A car, you buy a new car, all right? So new car runs great. You continue to run it. You run it day after day. You put the gas in it as necessary, but you don't change the oil. You don't fill the tires. You don't service the engine. Just keep going and going and going. Eventually, you're going to get problems with that car, right? It starts to break down. However, if every 3,000, 5,000 miles you put oil in it, every 10,000 or 20,000 miles you take it in for the engine tune-up, you fill your tires every month at least, you are maintaining that car. You're putting effort into it. You don't just buy the car and live happily ever after. The car is going to take care of itself. No, the car needs maintenance, all right? This is the same if your bodies, this is great, right? You don't just exercise once, do a lot of exercise and feel that you're going to be healthy for the rest of your life, right? That your bodies require regular exercise, daily exercise, or as the doctors say, at least 3 times a week, right? This is maintenance. This is the law of maintenance. Melanie, it would be helpful to address how to release attachment and the happily ever after mentality. Good. All right, I'll address that. Hi from Mooresville. Hi, Kimberly. And that feels like the most difficult part. Right? Yeah, awesome. Need to hear this today. Thanks, Maureen. All right. So what else needs maintenance? Your spiritual growth, right? You come to a certain level of understanding, of awakening, which happens here at Rythmia all the time. You come to this new level of awakening. The one thing that I really caution everybody about in the work that I did prior to being here at Rythmia, being a breath worker for the last 12 years, and seeing my own clients, doing my own seminars, and here at Rythmia, is that when somebody makes a breakthrough, that to recognize that it's not happily ever after, right? It's not like, oh, I made this breakthrough, now I can live at this level forever. That mentality, that understanding requires maintenance. It requires you to continue to feed that flame of understanding, to continue to make it a priority in your life, and to maintenance it, give it its due. Couple more people join. Welcome. What we're really talking about here, and this is sort of a monastic perspective or a spiritual perspective, that evolution is really the name of the game. That we are here, the life, you could call it a school, you could call it a playground, you could call it whatever, but we're consistently evolving. We're consistently transforming and blossoming into new, better, more complex, more beautiful, more resilient beings. Look at anything in nature and see how it is. Even the theory of evolution, the scientific theory, where things evolve, creatures evolve to adapt to their environment, to become more resilient, to hide better, to be able to survive better. Flowers evolve, and they just seem to become more beautiful, which actually is a survival mechanism too. It attracts more insects, which that carry the pollen to help them continue to spread. And again, in our lives, evolution of our consciousness is really the game that we're talking about here. So we could put this a different way, that the name of the game is transformation. This might help in understanding, because transformation is like a two-edged sword, or like a coin with two sides. If we're conscious about our transformation, that's what we call evolution, positive evolution. We're moving forward by transforming in a conscious fashion. If we're unconsciously transforming, that in nature is known as deterioration or decay, rust. All of this is a natural transformation, but unconscious. Or let's put it this way, it's a natural transformation without the effort of maintenance being applied. So again, use the car body. If you don't wash your car, wax it, protect it from the elements, eventually it will rust. Rust is a transformation. Rust is transforming the metal of the car into something else. And if you don't maintain it, that rust occurs. That deterioration or decay starts to happen. If you don't continually exercise the body, sediment starts to set into the joints. You start to get arthritis. You start to not process your toxins, release, and so you start to develop disease. So all this, again, is transformation. Disease is a transformation of your body. Arthritis is a transformation, but it's an unconscious transformation. It's one we're not looking for. So we're talking about conscious transformation, which leads to our evolution, which is facilitated by this law of maintenance. So tuning in, Tim Tenge. Hey there, Tim. So how? So the question was, how do we really get out of this happily ever after syndrome? Well, the first thing to do is just be aware that this is it. Say fairy tales, as was it Claudia said earlier in a comment. A fairy tale is just that, a fairy tale. That it's a story to make you feel good. It's a story. It's not a based in reality type of scenario. So the first thing to do is just recognize that, do you go to a movie and, I don't know, what's a good movie for an example? Star Wars, Star Trek, something like that maybe. Do you go to that movie and then believe that that's reality when you leave the movie? No, you're able to watch the movie, get engrossed in that, live the movie for the time being, feel like you're part of it, but when you leave the theater, you're back to reality, right? You're not seeing stormtroopers and Darth Vader and Ewoks running around the street, unless you're really a hardcore fan, in which case, you know, I'll just leave that at that. But the point is there that, you know, you've separated the reality from the fantasy, right? So that's the first step, is really recognizing just that phrase. Whenever you hear happily ever after, you know that that's a fairy tale, that it's not true. It's not reality. Now there is, you know, there is a way to live happily ever after without, you know, without this concept that happily ever after means no effort. So the second part is to recognize the law of maintenance, to understand that everything put in motion requires continuous effort to stay in motion. All right, so you find that perfect mate. Eventually, if you don't pay attention to how that relationship goes, there's going to be conflicts. There's going to be headbutting. There's going to be, oh, you didn't consider me there. You forgot our anniversary. You know, and all these things can spiral out and make a perfect relationship into a nightmare. So recognizing off the bat that whatever you engage in, your job, the perfect job that you just were offered or that you just started, you know, you can't sit back on your laurels now. If anything, you got to put more effort into it to show how worthy you are of that position, and that, you know, somebody else isn't going to come along and just usurp it from you. So recognizing that whatever you've put in motion requires you to constantly monitor, to take assessment on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a yearly basis, you know, depending on what it is, sometimes a minute-by-minute basis. You know, like breathing, you definitely want to assess whether you're breathing minute by minute. Unfortunately, that's something we can do a little more unconsciously. But even then, a lot of people unconsciously hold their breath. So the first is to recognize the fantasy right off the bat, you know, fantasy from reality. The second is to understand the law of maintenance, that anything put in motion requires constant effort in motion. Making money is the same thing. You know, there's this idea, if you get into a thing where you can start making money, that's just going to last forever. Once again, you have to keep proving yourself, or you got to keep putting the pegs in place in the future so that they sprout, so that the money will continue to keep coming to you. If you don't do that, eventually the supply dries up. Plant a farm, plant a garden. You know, you plant one seed, maybe you get an abundance of crop for one season, right? If you don't plant another set of seeds, you know, your garden, which was abundant, you know, which was giving you lots, all of a sudden is barren the next year. You're like, why was that? Because you didn't plant any seeds, you didn't maintain it. All right. Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, that's a great happily ever after story, right? So you know, it's like, and what's, you know, here, that's a good example of the fantasy, because the fantasy, usually there's a significant problem, right? I mean, the prince is turned into a beast, and it's like, you know, life is basically condemned at this point. His life is condemned to be this ugly monster, unless somebody can ultimately kiss him or you know, love him, and that love overcomes, and that transformation takes place. He becomes, you know, the handsome prince, and then the beautiful princess gets the reward of not only having to love honor his beast, but actually now she gets to look at something more pleasant as well. But so, you know, the trick in there is that, oh, the major issue was overcome. So now again, life can go on smoothly, but you know, wait until they get into bed, and even though he's no longer a beast, he snores like a beast, right? It's like, how are you going to handle that situation? You're going to go crazy and you know, start to argue about it, or find some kind of solution, right? So in that, recognizing that the next part is to recognize, once again, that every challenge that comes up, every requirement for maintenance, you know, meaning every challenge that needs altering or needs fixing or improving, is an opportunity for evolution. That these challenges are what life is actually built on, right? A life, as one philosopher said, an unexamined life isn't worth living. And see if I can, you know, a life without struggle really has no satisfaction to it. You know, it's like if all your life was is you get to wake up every day and eat lollipops, after a while it gets pretty darn boring. We're built to engage in struggle, and here we have to redefine struggle as recognizing that it's a positive aspect to life, that it is the catalyst for our evolution. It's the catalyst for our growth. And without struggle, without conflict, we don't grow. We stay in the little box of who we are. And as a result, then we end up stagnating. And stagnating in the spiritual sense is actually a devolution. We de-evolve. That was good. Snores like a beast. So the next step is to recognize that there's discipline involved. That, like it or not, life is, you know, in order to maintain, maintenance is a regularized, a scheduled activity. You know, daily you need to exercise. Daily you need to eat healthy. You know, with once a week getting to eat a dessert or something like that. You know, if you're on a diet program. Daily you have to, or weekly, you have to study something that's going to keep your mind on track. So it's important to recognize discipline as part of the equation, and in that, to institute practices. Practices that you are going to adhere to, that you're going to commit to on a regular basis. So when people leave Rythmia, we leave them with a 14-day reentry program, meaning that we want you to at least do certain things for 14 days. One of those is to have a practice. And that practice could be meditation, which was the practice I had for the last 20 years and intensively for those 10 years as a monk. It could be yoga, it could be prayer, it could be breath work. And breath work's now the practice which I promote most actively because one, is very easy and simple. Two, it pays dividends on multiple dimensions of our being, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And three, it's just fun and can blow your mind. So get here and try some of this breath work. It can be study, again, whatever program you're on. So again, if it's a diet, you know, your practice is going to be to measure your calories, or to eat, you know, put together the broccoli salad rather than making the cookies, all that kind of stuff. If you're, you know, if you're a car mechanic, right? So your practice is going to be to maintain those cars. If you're in a relationship, your practices, you know, could be to have a weekly communication check-in. Are we there? Somebody give me a thumbs up or a notice that I'm still on with you, because I just had a little bit of a glitch. I wish I could be that easy. Wish it could be that easy to eat healthy. Yeah, well, if life were easy, then we wouldn't grow. So take that challenge as, reframe that challenge positively, to say it is in the struggle to overcome, and then release your perfectionist tendencies, right? That if you eat dessert more than once a week, that you're not beating yourself up about it, but then make it a game. Oops, I ate dessert 6 out of 7 days last week. Well, let's see if we can make it 5 out of 6 this week. 5 out of 7, 4 out of 7, 3 out of 7. And, these are very simplistic examples, but hopefully you're getting what I mean there. So having that practice, and breath work, I'd say, is one of the most profound practices, because one, it's, as I said, is helping you on 3 levels. First of all, physically. So it balances you by bringing in this life force energy into our bodies through the practice of breath work. It's balancing our physical field. So if you need to eat less, it's generally staves off your hunger. If you need to eat more, or eat more healthy, it will stimulate your appetite. If you need more sleep, it'll put you to sleep. If you need more energy, it will tend to energize you. So just on a physical level, it's helping you. Emotionally, this is where we get a little caught up. The happily ever after is really an emotional experience. And a lot of us get, what's the right word, where our emotions are a narcotic in a way. The happily ever after comes with this rush of wonderful feeling and all that, and we're addicted to that wonderful feeling. So we want to essentially have that happily ever after, and recognizing that's as much a drug as heroin. That we're addicted to that sensation. You're on. Okay, everybody's telling me I'm on. Good, thanks. So, in other ways, with regards to Rythmia, one of the ways to stay on track, to keep that maintenance happening, is to come back. We encourage you to come back. We even though the experience here, your soul merge, your heart healing, is a permanent thing, there's still this law of maintenance that happens. It's like, so you got a healed heart, but if you just let it sit there on the shelf, it's going to collect dust. If you don't put it to use, or if you don't give it a dusting every so often, it's going to start to rust. So come back for a dusting, come back for a tune-up. That's one of the ways to maintain yourself. Another that we have here is that we offer an aftercare program. So this is like a maintenance package. You go in, you buy a car, right? And then the dealer will sell you a maintenance package to go along with the car. So that you're going to, unless you're a mechanic yourself and you know how to do all this stuff, that you're going to want somebody to continue to service your car. So it's the same way here. People come here, you have this amazing awakening. You merge back with your soul. You renew your heart again. And now it's like, yeah, you're living from this new place, but it's not happily ever after that. You don't go home and it's like, okay, just everything is miraculously different, right? You have to plug back into your life. And in that, there's going to be a little bit of friction, a little bit of change, because your environment is expecting you to have 3 prongs, let's say, and you're going to plug back in, and now you brew another prong. And now you're trying to plug back in your environment, and it's not working. It's not plugging in right. So it takes some adjustment, which means in this case, you can either cut off that prong and go back to the way you were so that you can fit in with your environment, But what we were really advocating or hoping for is that you change your environment that's going to fit who you are now, right? So that may mean sometimes letting go of relationships or challenging those relationships you have to raise to, you know, to the vibrational level that you are at now. That may mean changing your job or not, or just and before you get hasty about quitting, usually it means first doing whatever you're doing better, like just working at it with more conscious understanding. And there's another monastic perspective or spiritual perspective, doing what you're doing from a spirit of service rather than a spirit of gain or promotion or betterment for yourself. All that comes when you do things in a spirit of service, and it tends to make even mundane jobs even more enjoyable. Kevin, you're right. I regret not buying the aftercare package when I got home. Well, thanks for that testimonial. That's that unfortunate testimonial, and that's what we hear a lot of the time. In fact, Jerry, our CEO, polls people after leaving, and he's found about 84% of the people who didn't get the aftercare program end up wishing they'd got it. And that's, you know, so, and why is that? Because maintenance is required. And oftentimes we're not fully prepared to do all that maintenance ourselves. Once again, the car analogy. You know that your car needs maintenance, and you choose not to buy the maintenance package with the dealer, right? So you go home, you say, well, I'll do it. And then you get in there and find that, oh, changing the spark plugs isn't as easy as I thought, and I don't even have the right wrenches to do it. So now you got to go out and try to figure out, buy the right wrenches, come back, you know, you got the wrong ones again. You got to go out back. By the time all your time and all the equipment you bought, you basically spent, you know, double what it would have cost you just to do the maintenance package. So it's, you know, understanding that, you know, intelligently understanding where we could use help and allowing ourselves to get access to that help is the name of the game there. Shelly Albers just joined. All right. Well, good friend. You're joining a little late because I'm coming to the end of this here. So, you know, we've talked really about, you know, what this is, the happily ever after syndrome, thinking that everything's going to be hunky-dory after we transform in some way, after some hurdle is overcome, that we can then rest and the rest of life is going to be good. That's fairy tale, right? We talked about why that is, because of the law of maintenance, that anything initiated in motion requires continuous effort to keep it in motion, to keep it maintained. We described why this is important, because because if we want to continue to see results, we have to